Paul continues now in verse 3, and he says, if, or since it is happening that someone is teaching differently, so evidently in Ephesus some people were teaching differently. They were instructing people with different kind of instruction, some other doctrine, and comes or goes towards you or other people with words not being sound. The words that they were speaking and teaching others was not being sound. They were not healthy words. They were not in good health or well. So if somebody comes and teaches differently towards you with the words that are not sound to, and with the words pertaining to and proceeding from the Lord Jesus Christ, and the words of the teaching according to the reverence being the instruction and the doctrine regarding good service, reverence. And we saw that word reverence many times in this book of 1 Timothy, back in chapter 2 and verse 2, in chapter 3 verse 16, and in chapter 4 verses 7 and 8. So as somebody was teaching or coming towards you or any other of the Ephesian holy people, they were teaching something different to the reverence. It was not in accordance with that good service, the service that is well, service towards God and being respectfully reverential of God. Then he is in the state of being conceited, and he remains conceited. We saw that word conceited before in chapter 3 and verse 6. It's as though in the mind being beclouded or wrapped up in his own importance, being engulfed in smoke. That is in his mind. He's all wrapped up in his own activities, refusing to see what's outside of himself. So the one who may come teaching a different doctrine, the doctrine which is sound and which is therefore the different doctrine would not be according to the Lord Jesus Christ and not according to the reverence, that good service towards God. The one who would be doing that is in the state of being conceited, well knowing nothing. So he's fixing or setting his mind on what? On nothing. Not one thing, so as to be aware of it. But contrary to well knowing what he's talking about, he is having a disease. He's being definitely sick, causing mental and or physical harm, physical decline as a disease, with reference to, or what he's talking about is seekings, the actions of seeking, or he's evoking questions, looking for answers, searchings, inquiries, quests. We saw that previously in chapter 1 and in verse 4. And word fights. We saw that also in chapter 3 and verse 3. Word fights. He's battling with his words, combats about words, about what he says, and using words as the instruments of the fight. He's using words to fight against other holy people. Out from which seekings and word fights, that person becomes or comes to pass what? He's evoking envy. Envy is as being jealous or resentful of another's considered advantage. And so there is a desire to gain that same advantage, envy towards other people. And strife, all forms of strife such as rivalry or wrongful competitiveness, contention, disputing, quarreling with the holy people. Blasphemies, we saw that in chapter 1 verses 13 and 20, and here in verse 1. Blasphemies, which is evil speeches, actions of treating others with lack of godly reverential respect. Evil surmisings, they're having mental perceptions with thoughts that are active with malignancy. They're evil thoughts, evil perceptions in their minds, conjectures that exercise badness, frictions of men, as though thoroughly rubbing against one another, causing friction or irritation, wearing each other out by their actions, their words, their activities. Those men that cause frictions are specifically the men who have been and continue being truly corrupt with respect to their mind. They are utterly decayed or corrupted thoroughly with respect to their mindset, their mentality. And these men have been deprived and continue deprived of truth. That word deprived means that something has been taken away from them. They may not have everything, but something as though taken away from them, resulting in them not having completeness. And in this context, we're talking about truth. They may have a certain portion of the truth, but they don't have the fullness of the truth. They're deprived of the truth, of everything that is truthful regarding God and the things of God. These men are regarding it as customary to achieve, or that achievement is reverence, the reverence. The reverence is what we looked at in chapter 3, that good service towards God our Father. These men, however, consider it or suppose that is legally or lawfully okay, that achievement or procurement, that the process of acquiring their desired provisions, a way or means of getting it done, whatever they've put their minds to, getting it done, of achieving their goal, which of course would be in line with their what? With their truly corrupted in their mind and being deprived of the truth. The goals they set for themselves are in that category. However, they think it's okay that achievement is the reverence. That by doing or carrying out what they have set as their goals to achieve during their everyday living of life is service towards God. Reverence. Now, some words have been added to the King James Version, which say, "From such withdraw thyself." However, in most of the best Greek texts, those words are not there. So Paul writes that these men regarded as customary that achievement to be the reverence. Now, Paul writes very clearly, but he says, the reverence with self-sufficiency is great achievement.